I don't like the way lighting systems work in modern, and by that I mean PS3 onward, consoles and PC games. I feel like the way that light is rendered generally has an unintended effect, and that is, I hate it. That's the unintended effect. I just generally like, fuck that. I don't like it. What I mean is, before the PS3, and it was sometime in the middle of the PS2, I'm just thinking in terms of consoles here, lighting was just matte. It wasn't really dynamic. There weren't dynamic shadows in a lot of things. It was just like you had a grey circle underneath you if you were in, in a 3D environment, and you might cast a shadow underneath you, and there might be like your texture might have like shadows programmed onto it, or just colored. Like the texture would be dark because that part of the room is supposed to be dark, and that's just how it is. PlayStation 1 has this all over the place. There are no lights that illuminate things. Things are just colored dark, and some things give off light, but there's not really that much of it, and it's graphically an intensive thing to do back then. And I have always hated the way lighting systems work when they try to be too realistic. And it's really just the same problem with, the way game graphics have sort of taken over the whole production. I mean, less so nowadays, but it really was a big thing for a very long time, that if your game was to be a big game, and if it was going to be a game that would sell lots, you have to be on the cutting edge of the graphical thing. You have to be pushing the thing further and further to make stunning visuals that people will be like, oh, I can't believe it's a game! It looks real! I'll buy it! And, obviously the reason for this is, it was easy to market. It's just like, it looks like real life. Remember Atari? You couldn't do that. Now we can make it look like a real person, even though it looked like something like this. And nowadays, you look back at that and you're like, it's not even close. So yes, it was easy to market people the idea that something is really good because it's really graphically intensive. They really put a lot of man hours into to rendering that and to making it look real, and to have realistic lighting. Dynamic shadows that actually have a source and will land on the ground and be like, whoa, that's new technology, it's real cool. And the problem I've always had with it was not that it's realistic, because some games do look good when you nail the style and you make it, have realistic things like realistic lighting, shadows and stuff. And, I mean, Dark Souls 3, that's a really good looking game. And it's got, like, realistic features like, the lighting. Shiny objects and stuff. At this point, things are powerful enough that doesn't take too much development time, so it doesn't detract from other things so much. So that's fine. But the problem I've always had with it, and this is the main reason I don't like lighting systems, it gets used all the time. People forget that you don't need it. People forget that it's a stylistic choice to have a realistic lighting engine with shadows. And the primary example I would point to is Yooka-Laylee. I haven't played this game, so I'm not gonna judge its game feel, how it feels, how it compares to Banjo-Kazooie. I haven't really played Banjo-Kazooie either, but just by seeing it, it looks off. It looks wrong. There's something about it that just rubs me the wrong way, and it's the realistic lighting engine. He has a dark, harsh shadow following him around, and, depending on where he is, the lighting is different. He looks completely different. Sometimes the shadows come on his face, they're just like, oh, that's kind of unflattering and not very nice and not very cartoony, and it's just silly sometimes. I don't know why people still think of that as like a default thing to do. You have to have a lighting engine. How could you not have a lighting engine? Everything would look wrong. No, you just do what the old-fashioned thing is. You have matte lighting, like everything is lit, and then if you want something to be dark, you just darken it with coloring it in, or I don't know. The point is, it's used everywhere, and Yooka-Laylee is a prime example of a game that doesn't need it. It really doesn't need that lighting engine in it. It's not just the you know, the fact that they use dynamic lighting, I don't know what the words are, alright? If I'm using the wrong words, you know what I mean, like, it's as if it's a real sun shining a light, and there's a shadow. That's what I mean by dynamic lighting. I don't know whether that's the actual term, but I'm going with it. It's not just that the dynamic lighting is used at all, because you probably can use it, and it has probably been used in a cartoony game before, but ukulele, I haven't even looked at it that much. I've just seen a few things and I remember it just being looking wrong. The shadows are too dark. If you could make it the opacity like 10%, that would be fine. You know, just a little subtle lighting thing. And then there's stuff like lens flares, which I hate. You never need a lens flare, unless you're trying to be like, you know, don't look at the sun, the game. Like, I get it that it's like, realism. Really, this is a rant about realism in video games, because it was such a big thing that new technology could allow game developers to make things that looked more realistic. And then it just sort of stayed as the status quo, and there were so many games about people who were just normal humans because that was what people were trying to render. You know, you couldn't really render a cartoon character with HD graphics, so, you know, human beings, oh, well, we know what human beings look like, you know, we know what they're supposed to look like. The closest we can get to, you know, showing off our graphical skills is to show how close we can get to replicating a real human being. So it's human beings all the way, every single character in every single game, every single major game, fucking humans. And I get it, but I liked the variety of games. I liked the fact that before it was just, you know, it felt like there was more creativity. The PlayStation 3 for me was when I got bored of video games in general. Because, you know, Naughty Dog came out with Uncharted, which I didn't like as a game, but also, you know, Jak and Daxter was way cooler looking, way more colourful, way more fun, vibrant, and great, and Uncharted just looked like some guy. And I didn't care about him at all. You know, just the way he looks, I'm like, whatever. It's just some guy. He doesn't even look like an Indiana Jones. He doesn't even have a cool design. Like, he's got a bit of a hair thing. Is that it? He's got a t-shirt. Why didn't they give him a hat? Why didn't they give him some sort of something about his character design that made him... Like, he has a t-shirt and jeans. He's the most generic character ever. He's supposed to be relatable, I guess. They're trying to make him real. Like, not just making the graphics real. We've got to make the characters realistic and relatable. Oh yeah, Indiana Jones, he's too fantastical. He's too cool. Let's have someone less cool. Oh man, I just hate lighting. I hate realism, and I hate that it's not going away ever. And, you know, get me right. I like good-looking, realistic things sometimes, when they do it right. Like I said, Dark Souls. It's a fantasy world, but the things that are supposed to be taken from real life look real. The armor and the swords, and it's like, yeah, it's like a real good rendering of that stuff. The water, I love looking at nice looking water, but then again, I also love looking at less realistic things, you know, almost equally. You know, I'm not impressed by good graphics, and I wasn't even impressed by good graphics back in the day when people were supposed to be impressed by good graphics. It just annoyed me that there were no cartoon characters anymore. I grew up on the cartoons. Where'd they go? There's also like a separate issue with over-the-wall, cover-based shooters, but that's sort of dying. Really, that's just a fad. Like, fads come and go, and I get it. But I want my fad back. Where is the games without the fucking lens flares? You know, the thing that really hurts me about ukulele is that it hasn't really gotten that good a critical reception. And it was made by the guys who made Banjo-Kazooie, so clearly they've slipped a little, and that's bad because I wanted ukulele to reinvigorate the whole 3D platformer genre, because the games that I grew up with, they're still good and fun to play. Clearly you can make another one. Clearly somebody can make another good one. I want them back. I want more of that. You know, everybody has their favorite thing. I want more of that thing. I want more point-and-click games that are good. And I want more 3D platformers that are good. Where are they, huh? 2D platformers have gotten lots of stuff. You know, it's not really just the style, it's just like the gameplay type. I was never into 2D side-scrolling anything, so, you know, I'm not that interested, but it's cool that people are getting what they want in that sort of genre, but the things I want, they've never come back, That's why I'm so stuck in the past, that's why I'm so nostalgic. You've seen, my whole channel is basically just like, oh, back in my day, this is what I used to do. I'm talking about games from my childhood, games from my babyhood, games from my teenagerhood, all the games from the past, and they don't suck ass. And I'm just stuck there because modern gaming has done next to nothing for me, because what I'm looking for hasn't been reinvigorated yet, and Yooka-Laylee was gonna be the first big one. And it sucks, apparently. I haven't played it, but it sucks. I'm sad about it. I'm sad. I'm waiting for the aesthetic of a PlayStation 1 game to become an indie hit. You know, imagine if Shovel Knight was in 3D, and it was like low-poly PlayStation 1 sort of graphics with no lighting engine, and it was, you know, it was a 3D platformer. I would play the fuck out of a 3D Shovel Knight in a PlayStation 1 or PlayStation 2 style. But I know it's not gonna. I know that's not gonna happen unless I make it, unless it's me. But I'm not a game developer. I don't know how to program shit. I'm okay at animating, but I can't animate 3D, and that's the one thing I like so much. I don't know where I'm going with any of this. I'm sorry. I'm sorry that you had to sit through and listen. Maybe some of you agree with this sentiment that modern games suck dick, and that's why I like old shit. Or maybe I'm just being an old fart, and I'm not willing to give anything a chance. New games come out all the time, and I don't even think about looking at them. Cut out everything I just said and say this: realism is a style. Graphic things like high-resolution textures and lighting is a stylistic choice. Yooka-Laylee is a cartoon. It doesn't need that, so don't do it. That's what I'm saying. All these things, we've got to a point now where computers are so powerful and consoles are so powerful that it doesn't matter what style you're going for, you can do it. And indie games being so popular has helped the cause for lo-fi stuff. Low-resolution textures, low-resolution things. 8-bit games, 16-bit games. They're now viable products in a world where you can make something that looks like, you know, it looks like it's real instead of being rendered. And I want there to be more variety. I want everybody to choose a style and go with the style and go with all the decisions in the game development process aesthetically that work with the style that they're going for. You know? Fuck lighting. Fuck the sun. Burn the sun. Well, actually, that won't work. Yeah, that'll just fan the flames. That'll add to the sun. Thank you for watching this terrible video. I hoped you had fun. I hope you agree. And I hope you have something to say in the comments about the way everything is. And also, don't take everything I say too seriously. I'm just an idiot.